Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to a somber Wrestling Days. I like to be jumping around in these videos, having a bit of fun, but not this one because we've got to talk about something quite serious, and that is the fact that Toys R Us have today gone into administration. We are at the moment just talking about the UK stores. That's just over 100 stores, but it affects over 3,000 jobs. That is a lot of people that are impacted by this. Before we go anywhere with this, I want to say that all my thoughts at the moment are with the staff of Toys R Us. It's a horrible, horrible situation. And Toys R Us really is one of my favourite stores. I've done a few toy hunts in there, but more than that, it's the toy shop I used to go to when I was a kid. The one I used to go to was in Birmingham, which has actually closed a few years back. But I still shopped with Toys R Us, and I've always found them to be, you know, a very friendly place to go and shop, and they always have new exciting product. It is one of my favourite stores, so we'll have to see kind of what comes out of this administration process, because this doesn't mean that it's the absolute end. Once a company goes into administration, then there's a period of time for someone to come and buy that company. They might not want to buy all of it. There could be stores that just aren't, you know, profitable, or parts of the business that just simply don't work. They don't have to take those parts. They can literally just cherry pick the best parts, the most profitable parts, the bits that most appeal. So we're in that process now. Moorfields have come in as the administrators. They're saying that all stores are going to stay trading for the time being, but honestly, that could be up till the end of this week or anything, you know. I mean, literally anything goes from this point. So it really is a sorry and somber situation. And again, I know I've already said it, but I do want to just stress my thoughts are absolutely with the staff at this time. But I want to talk to you guys about why Toys R Us has kind of got into this position. But more than that, kind of, you know, where it is that I think it'll go. So I think it's got itself into this position because of a few different things. The first one, I think it came over to the UK in about 1985, and they've targeted units out of town centres. So now a lot of Toys R Us are like on industrial parks and, you know, away from the main shopping centres. That it was fine when Toys R Us was a destination store. If you was a kid, you would want to go to Toys R Us and you would nag your parents to take you, and then they would drive over there and they would take you. Kids now aren't nagging their parents to go to Toys R Us. You know, you've got other competition like Smiths and The Entertainer. Obviously, toys are sold in supermarkets. So there's a lot of competition. The biggest competition being online. You know, if kids want to look at toys now, they can just do that at home. They can just go online and watch YouTube videos about, like, you know, the toys, and then go and buy them from Amazon or Wrestling Shop or somewhere like that. There's no need for them to, you know, go on to their parents and try and convince their parents to take them to any shop. But it's worse for Toys R Us because now you have to kind of specifically go there, because if you go shopping in a town centre, you're probably not going to see a Toys R Us. So that is a problem for them. Somewhere like Smiths, I think, is a little bit more engaging. I think it's got better prices, and I do think their range just looks so much more impressive, certainly when it comes to wrestling figures, that I do think kids nag their parents to take them to Smiths. Really, Smiths is kind of showing that a toy shop can survive on the high street at the moment. I mean, who knows? You fast forward 5-10 years, honestly, who knows? Because the internet is just taking all of that trade. It really is a fight on the high street at the moment. We've kind of touched on points 2 and 3 as to why Toys R Us are in this situation. The price I've always found the price to be higher in Toys R Us. Toys R Us do have this price match guarantee. So if you know it's being sold cheaper somewhere, you just tell them and they will match that price. But honestly, why should a customer have to do that? I knew that Smith's was cheaper, but I never ever would tell people in Toys R Us, because then I got to prove it, and I kind of feel like, do you know what I mean, it's not worth it for the extra pound or whatever. But what that does is it actually then next time makes me go to Smith's rather than go to Toys R Us, because I'd rather just not mess around. So I don't think their pricing structure was correct, because, you know, it's an inconvenience to the customers. Yeah, you might pick up the odd sale that's a few pound more than Smith's, but it's few and far between. The final thing was imagination and, you know, kind of in-store experience. I would say Toys R Us has stayed exactly the same since the 1980s. I feel like I'm stepping back into that same store as I did as a child. There's nothing really to interact with. There's not many, if any, screens showing any kind of, you know, advertising, or there's nothing really to interact with. I think their Lego section got a revamp like 10 years ago, because that was all nicely laid out and branded, and that always stood out to me, was the Lego sections. But the wrestling sections, you know, sometimes they were like quite big, and then the next week you'd go in, they'd be quite small. They did have a few exclusives, like the Network Spotlight stuff, I will give them that. But the pricing just wasn't right, as we said. They are out of town, and as a result, it needed, you know, something to kind of drive you to go there. The range and how it was all laid out just didn't grab you. Just didn't look as good as Smith's. And none of this is the staff's fault. It's not the staff's fault. It's just the fact that I just don't think Toys R Us had the money, or has had the money for a long time, to actually do anything, to actually change direction. I think this has been coming for quite a while, and here we are. So, you know, let's see what happens with this whole administration process. They're saying that gift cards are accepted at the moment. If you've got one, spend it. Don't sit on it, because that could change at any moment. If you've got a faulty item, get it back to the store as quick as you can. They don't have to accept faulty items back now that they're in administration. I think they will honour it for the time being. But again, that can change in a second. So if you need to spend a gift card, or change an item, or do anything with Toys R Us, get it done. Moorfields have actually come out, the administrators, and said they will be conducting a orderly wind down of the store portfolio over the coming weeks, which means there will be less and less Toys R Us stores in the UK over the coming weeks. It does depend on if a buyer now steps forward and snaps up the stores, buys certain stores, as we said at the start of this video. I just don't know. No one knows. Apparently there were talks up until last night with a potential buyer. There was rumours of who that buyer could be. I heard Entertainer getting mentioned, that they might have been interested in taking it, but they wouldn't have wanted all of it. So maybe they step forward now and just take the stores that they were interested in. I don't know. I feel like there is still a business there, and I really hope that as many of those jobs are saved as can be. But yeah, it's a really sorry situation. I really hope we don't see Toys R Us go completely. But that is an option. That is something we're looking at. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Some of you watching this might work for Toys R Us. As I said, my thoughts are absolutely with you at this time. I don't know. I mean, what more can you say? I'm gutted. I genuinely am gutted, because it was one of my favourite places to visit, and it was the toy shop, the toy company that I used to go to as a kid. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thoughts with the staff, and hopefully, guys, if you enjoyed this, which you absolutely shouldn't have, then you'll join me if there are any other updates. Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.